Welcome to Jack's Corner, where conservative values meet national headlines, and truth and reality have a seat at the table. From Louisville, Kentucky, here's your host, Jack Richardson.
Well, welcome back to Jack's Corner, where truth and reality have a seat at the table. Now, I'm not here to give you the news, but I'm here to basically help you deductively reason your way through it, to understand it and to be able to process what you're being told, because, you know, we're also manipulated from the moment we get up to the moment we go to bed. So anyway, let's get into the news of the week, because it's pretty interesting. There's a lot out there. I won't be able to cover it all, but I want to hit the high points. And the first one's going to be with regards to Trump's trip to Notre Dame. And I was a bit nervous of him going over there because he wasn't going to be in the Air Force One. But boy, did it turn out great. And when he emerged from that vehicle and walked into Notre Dame with all the dignitaries there, and you could just see through the cathedral, just going off into the distance, the cathedral was packed with dignitaries, and he was sitting on the front row. And as he walked in, he was bigger than life. He was a superstar. He was the Superman. And the left made him that way. And I know they can't stand it that they did that. But that's what the left does. They try to destroy you. But he was the only man that I can even think of in this world today that could have survived or endured what he did from the left. But, and I know they're just crying in their beer over this, but as he walked in there, and he was walking down, and he was shaking hands and greeting everybody, you could see every eye in the cathedral. He almost stole the whole thing of the celebration. He almost overtook the celebration itself with his appearance, because he is bigger than life. And as he walked in there and went down the line, shaking hands and greeting, there were all the cameras, and every eye in the cathedral was looking at him as he took his seat. And you could tell that, okay, there's a new strong man on the stage, not just for America, but for the whole free world. And he's also going to affect those tyrants and dictators around the world, too. They're going to have to rethink the strategies, because they got by with murder when Biden was in office. Well, yes, he is still in office, but is he really? Because you see that Trump has really taken the stage. And another thing that's so good about it is that he won the electoral vote. He won the popular vote. He has a popularity rating of 59% right now, which is absolutely astounding. There was no question with regards to the legitimacy of the election. And he has taken the stage and is really acting as the de facto president right now. So I'm loving what happened. I loved what I saw at Notre Dame. And it just gave you goosebumps to see that a real man, a real leader, a real statesman has now gained the stage. Not somebody that's driven by a Marxist leftist ideology, but a man that's driven by life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And Trump went through all this for you. He didn't need it, but he went through it for you. And just stop and think. Can you think of anybody living today that could have endured what he did at the hands of the radical left and the Democrats? I can't. But at any rate, that's my take on Trump's visit to the Notre Dame celebration and the reopening of Notre Dame. Now, speaking of Trump, and I know we're a month out past the election, but we're still seeing the hysterics and the meltdown of the left. They made him the Superman, and they can't stand it that they did that. But they always overplay their hands. The left always overplay their hands. But there is a mental illness here, and a lot of people have talked about it. There's a mental illness to the left. There's a mental illness to the liberalism, because they can't deductively reason. They cannot basically process facts. There is no deductive reasoning. But the mental illness, as some psychologists have said, it's rigidity, it's anxiety, and it's depression. But you don't see this happening on the conservative side, because conservatives basically have another life other than trying to run yours. And so that's what you get from the left. Now, what brings on this type of anxiety? What brings on this rigidity? Well, as Pew Research discovered in one of their researches and programs in their polling, is that between 89 and 93% of the Democrats and the left are atheists. So they don't have anything to look forward to. And so let's do a little exercise here, mental exercise. Let's pretend that we're sitting here and that all of a sudden we know that there's not going to be any tomorrow. Well, if there's no tomorrow, then there's no reason to do anything today. There's no value in anything that we do today. Well, that's where the left is that they think that there's not going to be any accountability for how they live their lives or what they do in their lives. So what they need is that they need your worship. They want to be worshiped by you. They want to control you. They want to tell you what to think and how to act and how to live. So that is the left. So that's why you see the rigidity. That's why you see the meltdowns. And I must admit that I've had too much joy in replaying over and over again the meltdowns on CNN and MSNBC and other outlets where these people just simply could not contain themselves when the Pennsylvania results came in. And when that happened, they knew that there was no pathway for Kamala Harris to win the election. And it was just a matter of a few minutes before they had to declare that Trump was now going to be the 47th president of the United States. So anyway, it's interesting for the psychological take on the meltdowns that we're seeing. But also there's another element to this that I think is very important for you all to understand. And that is there is a dangerous side to the left. Historically, the left is always violent. And you can go back and you can read as far back as you want that the left, that type of ideology, that type of psychosis does result in violence. But, okay, let's take a few examples. Joy Reid of MSNBC says conservatives deserve violence. Are you serious? Well, I'll tell you what, there's no commentator on TV today that is a bigger racist than Joy Reid. And I want to tell you something. Racism comes in more than one color. And she's one of the biggest racists on TV today. And I can't wait until she's no longer on MSNBC or on any outlet because you can see it's palatable, her racism. But for her to say that conservatism and conservatives deserve violence, well, that's just absolutely wrong. Then you have Swalwell, this representative from California who was caught in the act of adultery with a Chinese spy. He really didn't have to account too much for that. He still got reelected, and I guess that speaks a lot with regards to a liberal constituency. It doesn't matter what you do or how bad you are. If you think the way they think, you're going to get reelected. Well, Swalwell wants to continue lawsuits against Trump. And then you've got Bragg and Letitia James of New York. Letitia James is the Attorney General of New York, and they want to continue pursuing lawsuits. And Letitia James even wants to pursue lawsuits while Trump is president. And that's totally against the law, but she's the one that really needs to be indicted. She needs to be indicted for conspiracy. She needs to be indicted for interference with the election. And when you take a look at her campaign commercials, she campaigned on indicting Trump before there were any facts or evidence out there for such a charge. So she told you in advance how corrupt she was. But of course, given the character of a lot of New Yorkers, she got elected as the Attorney General. But that's where the feds need to come in and put a stop to this type of conduct. Speaking of Letitia James, I want to read to you a Washington Times article entitled, New York Attorney General Letitia James Will Not Drop Civil Case Against Trump. Now here's a quote from the article. State Department Solicitor General Judith Vale has said there is no basis for the case to be dismissed. The letter continues, the judgment thus does not concern any conduct related to Mr. Trump's first term as president, nor does it implicate any conduct that Mr. Trump might undertake after his upcoming inauguration. Presidents do not have immunity from civil lawsuits arising from unofficial conduct, and such lawsuits may proceed while the president is in office. Well, boy, isn't that a slap in the face to the Supreme Court of the United States. You see, these people are as rabid as a dog, and that's how dangerous the left is. The feds are going to have to come in, and I hope the new U.S. Attorney General, Bondi, comes in there and really rains down heaps of coal and rains down hell upon these people, because she's going to try to interfere with the conduct of the President of the United States when he was given a mandate by the people. That just goes to show you how the left will spit in your face no matter how plain and clear it is, the judgment of the people. The people have already basically acted like the jury for Trump, and they said he is free and clear. Now it's time for him to govern. And this is what they don't want him to do. They are tyrants. These people are little tyrants, and they need to be put in their place. And this is what you get out of New York, and it's absolutely a shame. But I just wanted to share that with you, just how psychotic this is. So yes, the left and the Democrats are very dangerous, and this is no time to do anything but put your army boots on, because the war just started. The battle was won, and it's an important battle with Trump's win, but the war has just begun. Okay, now let's circle back for a minute to Trump and a recent article in Politico. The headline there was, "Trump wants to end birthright citizenship. Can that really happen?" Well, and one of the things that they do is that they sort of give you a slice of the Constitution here. The 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution states all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Now, follow me closely on this. When you talk about all persons born or naturalized in the United States, well, there's a predicate there. There's the foundation. The foundation is that you're already naturalized, and then you have a birth. And so the foundation of the predicate is that, yeah, you don't have an illegal person in the country given birth. You don't have the predicate there. And what I see this as is the formal word is imputatio. And this is the imputation of a right. And the imputation comes from the fact that the parent was already legal. The parent was already a citizen. And so this is what I believe that the founding fathers were wanting. So, the word imputatio, the imputation, goes way, way back to the imputation of the original sin, Adam's original sin. And we're all guilty of the original sin because it's imputed to us from Adam. And then the imputation of righteousness from Christ and his sacrifice on the cross. And so that in order for us to stand before a holy God, we have to stand in righteousness. And the only way you can do that is through the imputation of the righteousness of Christ. So imputation is a very important word, legal and theologically. But what the founding fathers were attempting here is basically saying is that the predicate, the foundation, has to be right before the birth can basically be imputed a citizenship. So I agree with Trump here is that we've got to end this birthright citizenship because it's been so radically abused, and we haven't addressed it forever, and it needs to be addressed now. Okay, now I want to transition to another matter that's been in the news, and I think it's been important for a lot of people. I think they find a great relief in the acquittal of Daniel Penny, the Daniel Penny trial in New York. What a travesty that was, that he was even charged. If anybody should have been on trial, it should have been the New York government, because they didn't provide for safety of its citizens because of their wokeness, because of their leftists, because of their psychosis. And I deal a lot of that, about a lot of the psychosis that you see on the left and in this country in my book, America's Systemic Psychosis, How Our Nation Lost Its Mind and How to Get It Back. But with regard to Daniel Penny and the acquittal, thank God for that. We knew that that was a just result. But don't basically give the jury a lot of credit here, because the only reason that they acquitted him is because they had something in common. They all were riding the subway, and they all felt the threat of being on the subway. So that's why he got acquitted. But if it had been on any other basis, they would have probably gone ahead and convicted him based on the fact that he's white and has Western values. That's what we have out of the left. And I mean, you can be white. It's the liberal white man and woman who has brought a disaster upon Western values. They are so psychotic in their thinking, and they are very dangerous people. I keep yelling this out. I keep yelling the fact that the left has a mental illness, and they're the ones that really need to be institutionalized. Nothing good comes from them, and all you see is violence. But the real guilt, like I said, belongs upon the New York government, from the governor, from the state house, all the way down to the governing bodies, the mayor and so forth, and the council there in New York City. But anyway, the attack is really upon white males and Western values. So that's what you're seeing. Now we have a strange thing that has come about, and that is Penny is reviled by New Yorkers. You've got a lot of these Black Lives Matters protesting, and I'm going to say it again, racism comes in more than one color, and you see a lot of blacks out there now protesting the Black Lives Matter people, protesting, saying that whites deserve to be in a chokehold. I mean, these people are threatening violence because of your color. And this has to stop, but it has to stop by reining in this liberalism, this wokeism that the Democrat Party has brought to this country, and particularly to New York and New York City. Now you have them protesting the acquittal of Penny, but now Mangione, the one that executed that CEO of that healthcare company, they're praising him because of his stance with regards to medical health care and the state of the mental health care. I don't care what your position is. Murder is never the answer to anything. Violence is never the answer to anything. We got to separate those two issues out. They want to try to merge them. But now he's a hero to some people on the left because of health care. Well, I'm going to tell you something. The people that are responsible and complicit with the medical condition, the condition of the medical health care system in this country, are the people who voted for Obama and gave us Obamacare. That's where the crisis in medicine comes from, is the takeover of medicine by your government. This is what we should have avoided. There was a lot of people complicit with it, and if you voted for Obama, that's what you got. So, no, we're not going to give this guy an out for the crime that he committed simply because he did speak a truth with regards to the crisis in the medical healthcare system. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts with regard to Daniel Penny. And then this sort of, I want to bring up something else that's kind of a little aside, but with regards to how people are not only being marginalized because of their whiteness and having Western values, but because they dare to speak up, because they exercise their free speech. And several weeks ago, I was talking to Nigel Farage, who I hope to be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And I was joking with him. I said, I love London. I love England. I've been over there so many times. It's somewhat my roots. And I said, but I'm postponing any trips over there because they'll jail you if they don't like what you say. There's no freedom of speech. He agreed, but we were joking about the fact that for some of the things that I've written and some of the things that I've posted, who knows? They could it could end up over there, and they could, if I were to visit, get jailed and prosecuted. So anyway, that was a little bit of lightheartedness in my discussion with him, but he's a great man to talk to. And I really hope and believe that at some time in the near future, you'll see him as the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Well, let's move to another topic, and that is what's recently been going on at the Supreme Court, particularly with regards to oral arguments regarding the Tennessee ban on transgender. Well, first of all, you never argue established fact. Only a fool does that. If you argue established fact, then you've already lost the argument. As an attorney, one of the first things I do in an answer to a complaint is the first paragraph is the complaint fails to state a claim upon which relief may be granted. And in a certain way, the same should be done here. The courts should have dismissed this. And I'm thinking that the Supreme Court's going to do this too, because, there is such a thing as reality. That's one of the things that they probably should do in this, in its ruling, is that, yes, there is such a thing as reality, and reality says that there is no such thing as transgender. It's a mental condition. It's called dysphoria, and it needs to be treated as such. Anybody that believes that it's anything other than that, then they are psychotic and they belong in an institution. It is a mental illness. And but the human organism basically only comes in two forms, male and female. And you need to get that straight. And we need to stop arguing established facts. Let's put this transgenderism psychosis to rest. There is no such thing of there being 100 different types of genders. There's 2, male and female. And let's stop arguing and re-arguing established fact. But I think the Supreme Court is going to do what's right based upon the questioning in oral arguments. I think they even see the psychosis of it. What I'd like to see them do is, as a part of the ruling, is that, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. America, there is such a thing as reality, and transgender is not it. And just another little quick aside, this time I want to say something just real quickly with regard to the border. Again, Trump is not even sworn in yet, but he's having a drastic impact with regard to illegal immigration and on the border. And the Mexico president has basically said that she doesn't want mass deportation, but if there is, they will handle it. Well, good, because she certainly has changed her tune there. But that's what you get with a strongman. And see, this is all something that Biden and the Biden administration could have handled, but they didn't want to. That's why Mayorkas needs to be in jail, because this was all a plan, and it goes all the way, dates all the way back to JFK. But this was a plan to basically make the Democrat Party the permanent ruling party in the country. That's basically tyranny. They were going to deprive you of the choice of being able to vote them out of office because the constituency would be so heavily loaded. It's just like in the states that voted Democrat for Kamala Harris. Do you know that the only states she won were the states where there wasn't voter ID? So what the Democrats wanted to do by flooding these people over the border is to create a massive change in the electoral process in this country such that Republicans and you would never have a choice to vote them out. So, but getting back to the border, yes, Mexico is now seeing the reality. They are faced with a tariff. They know what it would do to their economy. They need us more than we need them, and the same with Canada. But Trump is already having a positive effect, and hopefully that when we do these mass deportations, which is not unusual because the same happened under President Eisenhower, Obama deported 3 million. So let's get over all this talk about how unjust or non-compassionate it is. No, this is what we need to do. It's our country, and this is our right, and every country has to have a border. Otherwise, it's not a country. Okay, guys, I'm going to get to the woke of the week, and this is out of Illinois. The new Illinois laws are going to into effect on January the 1st, 2025, and one of them is, and get this, replace the term offender with justice-impacted individuals. Now, you know what? That's so disingenuous. That's just like a leftist. That's just like a radically liberal leftist Democrat. What they do is, this is called linguistic appropriation. They bleach words of any meaning, kind of like Clinton bleaching her email server. So they bleach them of any meaning, and they twist them around to deceive and manipulate and to mislead you. So my definition of Democrats, since they want to engage in linguistic appropriation, and so now we're going to have to call offenders justice-impacted individuals. Now, it's stupid, it's funny, you have to laugh at some point, but this is what they do. They tell you all the time who they are. Again, and I've worn this phrase out, but the accusations of the left, the accusations of Democrats are really confessions. And so all you have to do is listen to them, and they tell you who they are, and where they're heading, and what they're planning for you. So anyway, that's the woke of the week. The Illinois legislature came up with this. It's really stupid, but it's funny too. Well, everybody, hope you have a good week, and we will see you next week.